Hi everyone, thank you so much for listening to this recorded webinar. So we work for HSBC and we're here to present to you the Degree Apprenticeship Programme. So my name is Jasmine, I work within the HSBC Emerging Talent team. I'm attraction specialist, which means I promote and attract candidates like yourselves to come and apply for one of these Degree Apprenticeship Programmes. So I'm joined today by some of our colleagues who are currently on the Degree Apprenticeship Programme. First of all, I'm just going to ask each of you who you are, to introduce yourself and also your current placement and the role that you're completing. Sylvia, I'll come to you first.
Of course. Hello, so I'm Sylvia. I'm currently in my second year on the programme, and I currently work as a special category of customer analyst. So I call up customers and do enhanced due diligence reviews with them. It's very interesting.
Fab, thank you. Sahar, should I come to you next?
Yeah, hello. I'm Sahar. I am a Wealth and Personal Banking degree apprentice, and I'm currently in my first year. So the placement that I'm doing at the moment is in branch. So my role is called Universal Banker. So essentially, whenever customers come in with whatever their day-to-day needs are, I'll be the person that's helping them.
Amazing, thank you. Will, I'll come to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Will and I am a degree apprenticeship on my end of my third year, starting my final one in January. Very exciting. However, at this moment, I'm a project manager working for the change and implementation team within the HSBC customer redress. Our team is the one who actually make all the payments or put things right when wrong for a customer or an internal issue we have. But yeah, very exciting and looking forward for the next one. Thank you.
Hayley, I'll come to you, please.
Okay, lovely. My name's Hayley. I am also on the Wealth and Personal Banking degree apprenticeship. Like Will, I'm on my third year as well. And for this placement, I am a academy team manager within First Direct. Manage a team of coaches that train new people to join the business. So looking forward to being part of this.
Fab. And then finally, Saeed.
Hi everyone. I'm Saeed. Nice to meet you all. And I'm on my third year, like Hayley and Will. So I'm a WPB degree apprentice. Due to start my fourth year in January, and my role this year, I'm started off as an international journeys and experience manager. That did shift towards becoming a premier journeys and experience manager. What that essentially means is we're looking after the propositions for. It started off as international customers, but now looking after the propositions for premier customers.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for introducing yourself and for your time today. So we're just going to be going through a few different questions that will be helpful for candidates to understand a bit about the programme and the application process if they're interested in the degree apprenticeship programme. But first of all, Sylvia, please may I come to you, and would you mind to please explain a bit about what degree apprenticeship actually is for anyone that doesn't know?
Of course. So a degree apprenticeship, as every apprenticeship, is a government subsidised programme. The one with HSBC goes over 4 different years, where you complete 4 different job roles over the 4 years. Whilst you're doing that, you're also studying towards a degree with the London Institute of Banking and Finance. And at the end, you have 4 years of work experience as well as a degree, which is fantastic. And
Amazing.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Quickly.
Fab. Yeah, so it sounds such a great opportunity, so many benefits of taking part in the degree apprenticeship programme. Sahar, perhaps if I could come to you, please, and just ask you what it was that made you apply for the programme.
I think so. Basically, I came straight out of school, sixth form, and I did some work experience with HSBC. So I knew that I wanted to go into like finance and banking. I didn't know what specifically. And I think the degree apprenticeship was such a good way of being able to explore it a bit more without having to sort of commit to something specific. So if you go to uni and you do a specific degree and then you go into a certain role, that's sort of a pre-set out plan. But with this, you get to rotate around the business, see different things. And then when I did my work experience, I came into the Sheffield office for a day and I saw what the people were like, and I just really liked the atmosphere almost. And through the work experience as well, I attended some like virtual sessions, and just sort of hearing the people who were doing the degree apprenticeship speak about their experience and how positive it had been and how much everyone was enjoying it. I also knew someone that was doing a degree apprenticeship. I just knew that it was something that I wanted to do as opposed to uni or going straight into work. It just seems like the perfect fit for me, and it has been perfect so far. So yeah.
That's great. It sounds like such a good fit for you, especially being here at HSBC and having that chance to hear other people's point of view as well. Saya, do you mind if I come to you and just ask you what it was that made you apply for the program?
Yeah, sure. So I was an internal applicant when the opportunity became available. So I was already working for HSBC. And the thing that stood out to me the most was the opportunity to work in 4 different environments or 4 different business areas over a period of 4 years. To be able to get that breadth of experience was the thing that drew me the most. And then also the opportunity to get a degree, study towards a degree, and ultimately not have the worry of debt. So they were the 2 main factors that drew me to the apprenticeship.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. So just moving on then, Hayley, if I could please come to you first and just ask you to describe a couple of your placements and your experience working in the roles that you've had.
Yeah, of course. So when I first joined the apprenticeship program, I worked as a business delivery manager within the First Direct Change team. So that was a really interesting role. It's very project based. You work with stakeholders not only within the UK but also globally, to sort of kind of look to implement changes that will improve customer service and help to sort of kind of streamline the business as well. So I worked with our global function to migrate some of our UK work to our colleagues in Bangalore, which was really good. So it helped me to build a kind of much broader network, definitely increased my communication skills. I then went to HSBC bereavement, so sort of kind of coming back to the more customer centricity side, understanding sort of that end life cycle for our customers and how we can support customers in the most vulnerable of circumstances. And then this year, sort of certainly as a team manager, leading a team of 10 individuals with individual needs has been amazing. Helping them to sort of identify and work on their own development, just like I am at the moment, helping to improve their kind of communication and development skills, and then celebrating their successes with them as well. So it has been 3 very interesting placements, all that have very different qualities and skills that I've been able to pass on to other people, but equally been able to learn and sort of develop in myself as well.
Yeah, they all sound so interesting, but also completely different to each other as well.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you've had such a good variety there. Saeed, would you mind if I come to you with similar questions? So to describe a few of your placements, but also if you wouldn't mind to touch on whereabouts they've been and like the travel involved as well.
Yeah, sure. So in my first year, I was part of a team called the Knowledge Implementation Team. So that means nothing at the moment, right? But what that involved was, as a team, we looked after all the knowledge sources which our frontline colleagues used. So frontline colleagues would include colleagues in the branch and colleagues in contact centers. And by knowledge sources, I mean any sort of information that they use to help serve customers. So whether that be procedures, the intranet pages, and just keeping those up to date and making sure that they're in line with regulatory and compliance as well. And in the first year, it was unique in the sense it was in 2021, and I'm sure a lot of you can remember 2021 was a major lockdown year, so there wasn't much travel. The team itself was based in Sheffield while I was based in London. So it offered me the opportunity to really build on that role and on the network I had using Zoom and other facilities. We did one offsite during that time where I did travel up to Sheffield in that year, and that was the first time I got to meet the team, and it was a really nice experience being able to meet them after seeing them only through Zoom for so long. Then in the second year, I was a digital product analyst, so specifically focusing on credit cards. That was the product that I was working on. So what that involved is looking after the online credit card journey, implementing any new changes that we saw fit that would attract more customers to the journey, and understanding where and why customers were dropping out of the journey. That's what that involved. And in terms of location of that one, so my manager was based in Leeds. I was again based in London. So again, how that worked, it was a lot of remote working, but we did have regular touch points and regular meetups in our London offices. That was where we met the most. And then this year, I can almost comfortably say probably been my favorite and best placement so far. As I touched on earlier, it's been as an journeys and experience manager. And what that involves is looking after the journeys and experiences of both our international customers and our premier customers. So looking holistically as to what we can do to improve their experience as a whole with the bank. An example of something that I've been working on is I've implemented a QR code solution, which allows the customer to scan this QR code and they can upgrade their account from a standard account to Premier. So that's an example of something I've did. And this year has probably been the first year in the placement where I've regularly been going into the office. So my team, my manager were based in London like me, and we'd be going in 2 to 3 times a week and meeting up on a regular basis, being able to do a lot of the work face to face, having my one-to-ones with my manager face to face as well. So it's been really good being able to do that.
Amazing, thank you so much. Obviously, a lot of our placements and roles have a variety of hybrid working, office working, branch-based working, so it just depends on your role and where you're based. Sahar, please may I come to you and just ask you, obviously you're on your first placement, so what is it you're particularly enjoying about your placement?
I would say, I mean, there are so many things, but the main thing I would say is the people. I love the people that I work with, and because I'm near the end of my placement now, it's December, and I leave on the 29th of December. So I know I'm going to miss the team so much, but the thing that stands out to me, because obviously I'm with them every single day of the week apart from my study day, and you build such a close relationship. And to me, I'm such a people person, and you spend so much of your time at work. Like, it's so important to me that you enjoy that time and that you're with people that you actually are quite good friends with. So I would definitely say the thing that I enjoy the most about my placement is the people. Obviously, there are just so many opportunities within it. Like with my placement, I get to do financial education sessions. So I knew that coming into the apprenticeship, I wanted to work on my public speaking. And, I've been able to do that through events and stuff like that. But through my placement specifically, we do financial education sessions, which is where you go out to schools and you sort of just talk to a class or a group of people about certain things that they might just not know about, say like budgeting, interest rates, how it all works, just financial education basically. And that's been something that, it's helped me improve that skill that I wanted to work on. But overall, it's definitely the team that I work with. I love them so much, and I'm going to miss them so much. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's really nice that you get on with everyone so well. You're such a great team. Will, please may I come to you and just ask you a bit about your training and how much you knew about HSBC when you first started in your role?
Right, yeah. A little bit different when I joined this particular degrees. I've been working for the bank for a quite long time, so I'm confident well what they do. In regard to the degree, which was a new thing, to prepare for that, I know we had some meetings and they were like doing some kind of a show how it is and asking questions. So that also helped a lot to get more understanding, which Sylvia told us before. but it's been how can I say, it's just different, because my first role, I worked completely from home, where before, like being in the office, you could go and ask. So the preparation was a lot of a self-learning, not being afraid to engage with people that you never met, because normally those roles that you were put in, even though I had experience in so long in the bank, they are areas that I never heard of it was before. So completely new. But one thing that also it did really help me to prepare for that was in regards to having a mentor. I highly recommend it. Even if you don't work for HSBC, for anyone, have one, because it does really help you. So if you have any questions or anything, you can always go. Normally, a mentor is somebody who's a little bit more experienced than you are. So definitely was one of the key tools that I used to help throughout the new role.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Will, for sharing. Sahar, please can I just come to you and ask you a similar question around the training and how easy you found it learning your new role?
Yeah, so it's the first job I've ever had. So like I said, I came straight out of school, so it was quite new to me. But I think I was so appreciative about just my manager. She was so helpful in the whole thing. The training, all of that, she sorted out for me. There wasn't, I think coming into the degree apprenticeship, obviously everyone comes from a different situation, but you're not expected to have that work experience, and you're not expected to know anything about HSBC or the role that you're going into. Like, the training is all on the job, and there's nothing extra that you have to do. That's up to you if you want to do it out of hours or whatever. But with the training, I was sorted out. For us, it was Zoom training for the universal banker role. So I did that from home. You can do it from branch as well, but you just sort of on a Zoom call. But yeah, so the training was fine. It was more in branch. It's more about observation and sitting, like letting someone sit with you whilst you're in branch, whilst you're serving customers and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I found it as smooth a transition as possible, to be honest, from pure education to working as well as education.
That's great. Really, really glad to hear that. You're really enjoying it and you've had all the training and support that you've needed. Sylvia, please may I come to you now and just ask around the apprenticeship and how it fits into your working week?
Yeah, of course. So with the apprenticeship, you have kind of three key elements. So you have your workplace and your placement that you do the 4 days a week. So because it's a 20% studying, and then the rest is all working. So you have the workplace, then you have your LIBF, or university studies, which you do on the 1 day you have allocated for study time. That kind of includes, lectures every other week, reading, pre-recorded lectures, you have some quizzes, that kind of stuff. And then the last kind of element to it is the more admin side, the government requirement of it, which is kind of Kaplan, which you basically log everything that you're doing, you log all your training in, and then you create a bit of a portfolio that you then take to your endpoint assessment at the very, very end. And with me, I find that I get most of my work done on the 1 day that I have allocated. Sometimes I might do some extra reading somewhere in the evenings, but it's not really that much. Obviously, when it comes up to assignments and submitting essays, I might spend a little bit more time on it, just like you would with a normal degree, or as you would at school or A level. So it's not really that much different. And whenever I do any learning at work, I'll just get onto Kaplan after and just log that I've done some in-house training to add to my hours. So it is really quite easy. And what I do as well, just to help myself out, whenever I'm on my way to work, I put a podcast in, something to do with finance, or sometimes like Financial Times. That really helps. And it just helps to keep me up to date with my news on financial, anything that's going on in the marketplace, and just helps me out with that. But other than that, I'd say it is quite easy to balance. Sometimes you might have to put an extra couple of hours in, but it's not anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't be used to at school anyway.
Amazing, thanks so much. That's really great to hear. So what would you say is the most challenging part of the apprenticeship?
For myself, it can be probably the change that you go along with. Like, you have to change from one placement to the other every single year, and some of the placements are very different from each other. Last year, I took a bit of more of a back office role. This year, I'm talking to customers, and I have a different style of learning and different style of working with these customers than I did last year. So it's being open to change and being knowing that it's okay to ask questions, because you're still apprentice, and every year you're going into a new role, and sometimes it's just hard to admit that you don't know everything, and it can be a bit hard to especially if you have that sense of pride, so you don't ask as many questions. But that's what I'd say is probably the hardest for me, changing from a different role every single year, and just having to remember everything that I've learned in the last role and trying to implement it into my next role, no matter how different it may be. So that's probably what I'd say is the most challenging for myself.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. That makes complete sense. Hayley, would you say that's similar for you, or is there something else that you find difficult?
I was kind of resonating with what Sylvia was saying. I think that was a really good call out in terms of adaptability. Certainly sort of kind of coming up to my 4th year, and certainly having been a people manager, that it's that adaptability of different expectations each year, which can be quite challenging. And certainly on top of that, it's the time management piece with the work that you do as well. So you touched upon about doing the work on a Wednesday. I think sometimes the challenge can be when you've got more than one assignment due within a short period of time. This is more towards the later years of the apprenticeship, which myself, Saeed and Will are in. Sometimes it's quite hard to sort of kind of balance when you've got one assignment due and then another one 2 weeks later. You just feel like it's a bit of a revolving door. But I think as long as you sort of kind of maintain and proactively kind of protect those Wednesdays or whichever day the study day is going to be, then actually you can easily manage it. So yeah, that's been a few of my challenges this last 3 years.
Thank you so much again for sharing. That's really, really helpful, I think, for other candidates to hear. So what support mechanisms would you say that you have in place to help you throughout the programme? Sahar, if I come to you first.
I think with support, there is quite a bit. So if I just sort of split it up, so the placement, you've got your line manager, who is great. Usually I've got a fabulous manager. So she's just been really helpful. That's the person, I see her on a day-to-day basis. So one-to-ones I have with her, whenever she wants to book them in. And that's sort of the person who helps your development the most, potentially. And then, so that's your placement. With Kaplan, so that was what Sylvia was explaining with the training side of things. You've got someone called your talent coach. So my talent coach will just help me make sure that I'm putting it all in the right format. And even if you've got any problems with your placement, you can talk to her about it and she'll feed it back, or any problems with the uni work and she'll feed it back for you. So that's really helpful. And then with the uni side of things, you've got a lecturer, and because our class sizes are quite small in comparison to obviously a normal lecture that you would go to, you do build quite a close relationship with the lecturer that you've got. So the lecturer will change every module, but even still, you build that relationship with them. And in terms of support, you've got these hours that you can go to on your study day if you need any help, if you've got any questions. Obviously, you can email them whenever. And also with the assignment, I don't think anyone's mentioned this yet, but you can actually submit a plan beforehand as well, and they give you feedback on that before you actually do the assignment, which isn't a usual thing at uni, but it's so useful because you know that you're going on the right track, or if they've got any helpful pointers, they can point you in the right direction. So that's been quite useful, and the feedback I've found is quite good for the assignments. We've got someone called a program specialist as well, who she'll have quarterly calls with us just to make sure that everything's going okay and if you've got any questions. So I found that you do have actually quite a lot of people around you that you can go to. And then obviously on top of that, you've got your cohort that you're in. So you've got everybody else who's going through the exact same thing as you. And our year, as I'm sure the other years are as well, we're really close. So our cohort, we've got group chat on Teams and on WhatsApp. And if you've got any problems, just message one of them. You obviously have your close friends in that cohort, and you can just message them and turn to them. So I think overall you do have quite a bit of support for each separate thing that comes into the degree apprenticeship. So yeah, there's quite a bit of support there.
Thank you so much. I think you've touched on pretty much all the support that we have on the degree apprenticeship program. And Will, did you have anything else to add?
The only thing I would definitely iterate is having a cohort support. I think this is one thing that we also have this group, but they go through the same thing. You will kind of there's no issues on discussing, there's no right or wrong. We are there to support you. That is definitely one thing. But also, as I said before, you have mentors that you can request to have. That is another tool you have available that you can be someone in your area, can be somebody outside the area that you can go, and if you have any questions, or especially if you are handling a situation you've never done before within your apprenticeship, you can go and they can guide you, or perhaps say, how should I do in this situation without having to go to your line manager, for example, or a colleague. So there is plenty of that, and make sure you use them because they're really good.
That's great. Thanks so much for mentioning that as well. Saeed, please, may I come to you and just ask you a bit about how you were feeling before your interview? So like rewinding a few years when you had your interview, and how you would manage your nerves.
Sure. So I think before an interview, it's normal to feel nerves. It's a completely normal feeling. And I'll happily sit here and say, yeah, I did feel nervous about it. And the reason for the nerves is it's an interview for a really big opportunity, and you don't want to mess it up. That's why I felt those nerves. But what I did to manage that is I prepared for my interview. I was obviously aware that an interview is coming up, and I did as much research as I can possibly do to prepare best for this interview. So when I was going to the interview, I had both a telephone interview and then a interview through Zoom. For each one, I prepared for it. I made notes, and I took those notes with me to my interview as well. And that's a tip that I got from one of my managers: is take your notes with you to an interview. There's no harm in having them with you at that time, because it offers you the opportunity for either conversation starters, or if you find yourself you're stuck, you can just quickly refer to your notes and carry on what you were saying. And that preparation really helped me feel confident. So it went from sort of nervous to confidence at the same time. And I was able to go through that interview, and lo and behold, three years later, it was obviously successful, and here I am. So preparation is probably the one thing I would say is the one key tip.
Thanks so much for sharing. Hayley, please could I come to you and just ask you a bit about your top tips for preparing, just touching on what Saeed just said.
Top tips. I think it's sort of thinking of sort of examples that relate to sort of the role that you're applying for. So I think back to the time, and certainly sort of my experiences recently as well with interviewing people. It's about sort of kind of looking at actually what is the job role asking you for, and then sort of thinking about those examples, even if it's examples from school, because there will be examples of being a team player and how you communicate effectively within your peer group that'll help to support the examples that are being asked. I think, you doing online research, LinkedIn and good old Google as well, gives you some really good ideas in terms of sort of how to structure your responses. So sort of kind of coming back to Saeed's point about sort of preparing yourself, the preparation is key to sort of kind of feeling prepared, touching on what Will said, reaching out to like mentors or even sort of colleagues or friends that can give you advice on their experiences, and then making notes and ensuring that actually you have your structure in place ready for that interview.
Great, thank you so much. I think that'll be really, really helpful. Just kind of coming to the end now, just wrapping up a bit. So, Sahar, please may I come to you and ask you what it was that stood out for you about HSBC, just one thing in particular, if possible, and why you decided to accept the offer?
I think the main thing for me, I mean, HSBC is a global company as well. So I liked the idea that, you know, perhaps even after the degree apprenticeship, I can stay on. It's got a really good reputation in terms of its stability, and it has a global presence. Like I said, if I want to work abroad, which is something that, you know, excites me, I can do that and stay within HSBC, as opposed to just moving abroad and trying to find a job then. And I, like I mentioned earlier, I did the work experience from that. I could see what the people were like, and it just seemed like a good fit for me. Yes, I would. The company, I just knew, obviously everybody knows HSBC, and it's sort of when you're thinking about a career, you do want that stability, and it seemed like the opportunities that I could get within HSBC was what I was looking for, basically, and the people just seemed great. So, yeah.
Thanks so much. That's really great. So final questions now. Will, if I could please come to you and ask you what you're hoping to do after the apprenticeship and where you're hoping it will lead you to.
Of course, yes. Well, first of all, is to be able to see what else the bank are there, which areas you have to work. You're able to engage with so many people, high-level people, and through that, your career progression as well. It can lead to a much quicker way, not only because you start to meet new people and the type of work you're doing, but also with the degree side. So that massively increase your opportunity when you're applying. So yeah, I'm learning which areas I like, which areas that I don't like. So when that is finished, I know which path to choose and hope for the best. But it's a great opportunity, definitely.
Thanks, Will. And then, Hayley, if I come to you and ask you the same question around what you're hoping to achieve after the programme.
Yeah, really good question. I think for myself, it's very similar to Will in the sense that I've learned a lot about what I do enjoy and what I don't enjoy. And one of the best bits of advice I was given was to sort of think about what it is that gives me joy when I come to work, because we do spend quite a lot of time at work. I really like the analytical side of the business, and actually the role I'm going into next year is an analytical role. Whether I'm successful in staying in that role at the end of it would be great. But equally, I have discovered my passion for people management, and the development side of individuals within the business. So I think actually, if it turns out that analytics isn't for me, then I have another backup. So certainly compared to where I was at the beginning of my journey, where I said, I'm not sure what I want to do with my grown-up life, I'm kind of getting closer to that point now where there is that end goal at the end.
Yeah, the programme goes quick. 4.5 years sounds long at the beginning, but I think it's flown by for all of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for sharing. So, Sylvia, final question. Would you recommend the HSBC degree apprenticeship programme and why?
100%, yes. And whoever I meet, I'll tell them all about it because I absolutely love it and I'm so passionate about it. After I left sixth form, I went to study at the University of Birmingham for a year and I did English there, and I had to work part-time as well. So I didn't really enjoy that because, you know, there was no balance to my life. So I found this apprenticeship and now I'm working. I get a wage, and something I've always wanted to do. It was always my life goal to get a degree. So I can always complete that as well, which is fantastic. All through the 4 years, whilst also saving towards buying a house to actually progress in my life. No student debt, that kind of thing is just absolutely amazing. And you learn so much. I can't believe just how much I've learned and developed these past 2 years. This has been my first ever office job role. I don't even really know where I want to be in life or what I want to do. And this has allowed me to see what I'm good at and see what I don't like, and then have different tasters of different jobs throughout the 4 years. And what, as well as what I love about HSBC, is the fact that you can have multiple different careers within one company. There is so much to pick from in HSBC. You can go from marketing, where I'm going next year, to wealth management, to digital banking, to propositions, to absolutely anything. And that's what I love about it. So it can be a company that you spend the rest of your life with, if that's what you want, but not actually doing the same job. And every day is different. And I don't know, I'm so passionate about it, especially because I spent a year in uni. So I know the difference between just going to uni and having a part-time job on the side compared to an actual degree apprenticeship, which is 100% better.
Wow. Thank you so much. I think you've just sold it to all the candidates watching. So yeah, thank you all so much for spending the time with us talking through the degree apprenticeship programme. And for anyone watching, thank you so much for your time. I hope that was really useful, and hopefully we'll see your applications very soon.
Good luck to all, yeah?
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.